7.2, review and consideration of travel and reimbursement policy from our administrative office.
Ms. Hudd, are you comfortable presenting this item?
Yes, I am.
Please come forward.
Hey, welcome.
Good morning, Board. Christine Hutt, Administrative Analyst with the Administrative Office. So before you today for your review and consideration is the travel and reimbursement policy. Our current travel policy was initially adopted by the Board of Supervisors in 2001, and portions of the policy have been updated at various times throughout the years, the most recent of which was in October of 2018. The current policy is outdated and presents some fiscal problems to the Auditor Controller's Office and the Administrative Office. In May, Stephen Carter and I met with the department heads to review the draft of the policy that had previously been brought before you on May the 2nd. And with their input, the final version has been created, and it is attached as an update for today. The policy was also had a lot of valuable input besides the department heads from the Auditor Controller's Office and County Council. It encompasses eligibility and pre-authorization, transportation, lodging, meals, mileage, and claiming reimbursement. Lodging and meals expenses adopt the acceptable rates as published by the General Services Administration, and the mileage reimbursement rate is tied to the rate published by the State of California Controller's Office. And these are significant changes from our current policy. The policy also serves as a qualifying written accountable plan by meeting the criteria as defined by the Internal Revenue Service. Now, some of the highlights of how this is going to impact, how this has changed from our current policy, is that meals related to same-day travel is viewed by the IRS as being a taxable event to the employee. The IRS determines travel-related meals to be reimbursed when there is an overnight stay. However, at the discretion of the department head, a department head may, in certain circumstances, approve a same-day meal reimbursement to an employee. However, it will be considered taxable income to the employee. Now, there's one other thing with regard to the meals that will vary a little bit from our new policy using the per diem rate for meals. And that is that members of a legislative body, in this case our supervisors, are required by government code to provide receipts for reimbursement. So this would necessitate that the supervisors would provide receipts for the meals. So the per diem rate is the cap of the gross amount that could be spent and reimbursed, but that the supervisors are required, and County Council helped with that interpretation of the California State Government Code. Let's see. We've tried to write this policy. What we did, we hope, have presented the policy in a way that makes it easy for people to find the information they're looking for. Each section deals with one topic, for example, meals or lodging or travel or a travel advance, so that the person, an employee looking, would not have to go through multiple different sections to find the information that they seek. Do you have any questions or comments for me at this point?
Hey, thank you. Do we have questions from the board? Supervisor Spatier?
I just have one, and I think I can go either or. I know I brought it up in my conversation with our CAO yesterday. In section 2.1, general information, I know that at the very top we give the purpose of this policy, and in the purpose it states it, but where it says transportation expenses may consist of the following while traveling on county business just seems really vague. And I just want to say that the expenses have to be related to county business, not just transportation expenses while traveling. I just feel like it needs that extra connection. But again, I can go either way. I just wanted to bring it up. It was the one thing that I read through that I felt was a little more vague than I would like it to be. That way it helps restrict it as much as possible.
I can't immediately think of a good wordsmith on this, but I believe we can do that. That wouldn't be difficult at all. Is it something that we could, I don't want to postpone this if at all necessary, but I'm wondering if we could, the question is, do I need to rewrite this right this second?
And I would ask the rest of the board first, because if there's no need, because the board doesn't think that that's a necessary change, then there's really no reason to even think that one through. So just asking the board if they think that's a reasonable addition or an unnecessary addition.
Well, perhaps, how about this? If we said transportation-related expenses may consist of the following while traveling on county business. If we put in transportation-related expenses, would that suffice?
I know my comfort zone would be more along the lines of transportation expenses, comma, related directly to county business, comma, may consist of the following while traveling on county. I don't know. It seems vague, but
The way we've interpreted this before with similar wording is it's the only reimbursed for the county business involved with your trip. So if you go, let's say, drive down to Sacramento for something and you stay an extra day and travel somewhere else and back, we would pay mileage to San Diego and back only, not the excursion to sites. That's the way it's always been interpreted, and it would continue to be. But no problem with changing that language either.
I don't have a problem with it written, but if you feel it's necessary, I think either way is fine. It's clear enough to me, but I can go either way.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm fine with it the way it's presented.
It's out in public, we are interpreting it that way, though.
the intent and interpretation is appropriate.
Okay.
I'm good with moving forward.
Okay, Supervisor Green?
Yeah, thank you. There's several link outs in this draft document, and I understand why they're there, because you have to rely on GSA and other things. The problem is, I feel like I need to link out to two different things to calculate what my per diem is going to be or my reimbursable rate. It'd be nice, even if the policy had to be updated and had to have a table of sorts, it'd be nice to not cite out so that, if only because, one, I'm going to get lost or I'm forgetting to link out. Two, when we're linking out to third-party sources, even if they're the authoritative source, when you're reading the website versus the policy, there could be some room for interpretation that maybe you don't want. You probably want to cite out to these so there isn't any interpretation. So, and I'm looking at pages 16, pages 15, pages 7. So that's one comment is, you know, is it all link outs all the time? Is there something we can do to just have some printouts attached to our policy so that people have it right in front of them? And my second comment is more of a rant, but discretionary gratuities, when you have you know, when you go out to a conference and you're having a thing, if you're in a large party, the gratuity will be added on and the whole party will be on the tab for it. But discretionary gratuities, I imagine there's some state or federal policy that precludes us from reimbursing for that. It's just a particularly frustrating exclusion.
I'd like to comment on the links. The purpose of having the links is, first of all, to, yes, they would, the employee or department head could go to the source that we're citing for the per diem rate, for the mileage reimbursement rate, and those change. The GSA office changes, the state controller's office changes their mileage reimbursement rate as well. And if we were to make a part of this policy, for example, a printout of what today's rates were, every time there would be a change, we would be back before the board to reapprove the change to the policy. And we were trying to avoid that because it's time consuming. And we thought it would be easier to just put the link so that they would always have the current information.
My response would be it's also time consuming for employees to go out there and hunt and find the information. So I appreciate that from time to time the federal rates may change. I don't think it's a major inconvenience to bring it back and update that policy. But that's just my comment.
Okay, well, I think after all the work that's been put into this, this is a document that can stand for time without having to do the updates. And, it's just something that we'll do when we check on travel, is see where the rates are and what the reimbursements will be.
I think having a link is a better way to go. Before, we had a specific number in there, and we're trying to get away from that because things change on a regular basis or irregular basis. I guess the comment did lead me to think that in dealing with websites, links do come and go. What's our process for checking the links? And I guess at that point, we bring it back, just because, is there a way to say this link or on the GSA website? Is there a way to expand that so that we don't have to continuously bring it back whenever the link changes? Just a thought. I mean, right now, I think it's good, but we all know that we just updated our website and things aren't exactly at the exact same address that they used to be. And I'm sure GSA has a 5-year plan of renewing their website as well. So I think today we approve what it is, but just a thought process on links come and go as well as a number that would be on there. How do we make it so that maybe it just talks about what the website base address is, as well as potentially this one? I don't know what the answer is.
I will tell you that the links that we have in here, rather than diving into a specific year, for example, the mileage reimbursement rates at the state website, the controller's website, it actually has a whole list when you go to a certain page of each year that they have updated the rates. And instead of doing it to a year, we just made it the page where you would then have to select which year you want. For the General Services Administration site, I believe we also found that parent page that then lets you dive deeper and find it. Because really with the per diem rates, it depends on your city that you're going to, the city, your geographical designation. So you have to select one. It doesn't, and that one is not necessarily date related. They update their rates for all their geographical locations at their own, in their own timing. They don't really tell you when they've done it. They just have made it updated whenever they do. So you're just going geographically. We've tried to make it generic enough so that, not so generic that you have to get lost in a major website. But I hear you, and I think that's a good idea, that we should periodically check them. And if necessary, then we update those links.
Sure, when an employee clicks on it to get that information, you'll hear from them.
Yeah, we'll know right away.
Right.
I was gonna
But
say,
I'm just looking for a future way. Again, today, let's approve and move on, but is there a way in the future, and maybe our county council can help us to create somewhat of a generic link so that no matter if it changes on the website, we can change it there? Because what's the difference between coming back and changing the link versus coming back and changing the price?
definitely we'll think about it, because that's a good idea. Which just gave me another idea that we might be able to put it on our intranet, a link which can be updated. The employee clicks there.
Right.
And that can be updated.
Nice.
Good idea.
So we'll be thinking about that for a possible change on what might actually work.
Okay.
Oh, and one last thing. So part of this is documentation. So the employee is called out to do a printout of the web page. You have to print out a web page to support whatever you're claiming. Can't we just have them put down whatever they're claiming, and if there's some dispute about that, who's reviewing this, auditor, controller? I just don't know why they have to document what's already, we're citing out to an existing thing, so if there's any question about it, why can't somebody else verify that versus each and every claim has to come in with a printout of the web page?
So whether it's the auditor's office staff or the person traveling, someone has to go to that website and verify. And that technically would be I would think that would be on the employee traveling, not the auditor's office, who is receiving tons of these claims.
If you want to get paid back, you have the incentive to submit.
That's right.
You have to go
Yep.
look to know what to put on your form, so you just have to hit print now.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the public? Not seeing any, so we'll bring it back to the board for action.
Madam Chair, I move to approve travel and reimbursement policy effective July 1, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you so much.